Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Politics with Flo. I am your host, Flo. It's been a while. I haven't done this in a minute. So I wanted to cover this and speak on this because actually my wife told me about this. She sent me an article regarding this specific situation. And it has to do with this specific group of people receiving political asylum during this administration. So you might be thinking, who are we talking about, right? This is not a group that I actually even knew existed. I learned about this recently. They are the Afrikaners, and these are people who are from South Africa, and they are descendants of Dutch people, right? So according to this article, they're allowed to receive political asylum, right, under this administration. And the first thing that came to mind, I'm like, why? What makes them eligible to receive political asylum? Now, I know that South Africa is a very violent place. At least that's what people say. You know, I've never lived there, but based on the history of the country, right, up until the late 80s, I think, they still had apartheid, which is similar to what we had here in the 40s, 50s, and 60s with segregation, right? So I'm looking at the article, and I'm just going to read it to you verbatim, right? So this is what it says. The Trump administration is planning to bring the first group of white South Africans it has classified as refugees to the United States on Monday, according to officials briefed on the plans and documents obtained by the New York Times. Although the president halted virtually all other refugee admissions shortly after he took office in January, his administration hastily put together a program to allow in white South Africans who he claims have been victims of racial persecution in their home country. All right. Now, I don't doubt it, right? I'm not saying that this isn't happening in this country. However, I do want to just pause for a second and really study the situation, right? Because one, as somebody who lives in this country, right, I try to be as neutral as possible when it comes to my politics. And in this situation here, or at least not neutral, but look at things from a non-biased perspective. That's the way I report. And essentially, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what makes them different? What makes them compared to other people who have tried to apply for political asylum, right? Because people in Central America, people in Mexico are experiencing some of the similar situations, right? Now, they're not being targeted because of race, but they are experiencing violence to an extreme, right? Due to gang culture, due to cartels or whatever. And they are not being offered any kind of political asylum, from my understanding, right? And this specific group of people is what makes them different. I don't know the details of it. I'm not trying to make any kind of speculations, but those who are against Donald Trump and his administration and his politics, this is definitely fuel for this because it just makes no sense as to why this specific group would receive political asylum, considering that our next door neighbor is probably experiencing similar, if not worse, when it comes to the violent things, right? So, you know, as somebody who, again, tries to report things from a non-biased perspective, and if we're going to be neutral on things, if we're going to be just looking at the truth, then I don't think that we should allow them to come in, right? One, because again, we are not people's saviors, right? We have our own issues here, I believe, and I think that if you're going to pick and choose who gets to come in, there has to be some kind of logic behind it, not, oh, well, these people deserve this because, right? What's the explanation behind allowing this specific group of people to come in and not others, right? What is the qualification for that? And considering that this group of people, you know, it's funny because this group of people, right, they're, again, descendants of Dutch people. Clearly the Dutch people do not belong in this country, that the South Africa, because they're not from there, right? They colonized the area in the early 1600s. And then because of the things that they impose in the country, now there's retaliation because, Africans have become the dominant force. And because of that, they have obviously, taken advantage of the situation, if you wanted to say that. So the minority is not benefiting from this, right? So evidently they feel threatened, and I get that. I understand that completely, but you're not even from the country. You might be from the country, right? Those individuals who are coming might be from the country, but you came in and conquered that area, imposed your beliefs, imposed your way of thinking, and now that things are not going your way, you're asking for someone to save you. Think about that logic. That makes no sense to me, right? I'm not playing any kind of identity politics here. I'm just trying to look at it from a logical perspective. It's like if somebody came to my house, right? They ransacked it. They imposed their will in my home, and then I retaliate, and then they want someone to save them. Essentially, is what is happening here. So why are we the ones who are stepping in to save this group of people that shouldn't be there in the first place, right? That's my personal take on this, my opinion on this. I don't think we should take them in. I don't know how many folks are going to be coming in. It says here that it plans to transport 54 Afrikaners to the U.S. on a charter flight scheduled to leave Johannesburg on Sunday. So it isn't that many now, but I don't know if this is going to be a continuous thing. I know that we had Ukrainians come in through the border as well, during that whole situation with Russia. So, look, again, I'm not trying to play the race card. You know me, I don't do that. I don't ever do that here. But it's not a good look if you're saying this group of people should not be coming to this country because they're criminals, they're rapists, or whatever. But then this group of people over here who happens to be white, and again, I hate to say that, but it's not a good look. And if you're already somebody who was against Donald Trump, right, this is probably going to fuel your fire. It's going to fuel everything you've been talking about as to, or your justification as to why he should not be in office or whatever. But I'm just trying to understand, what is the logic behind this? What is, if somebody knows, if somebody can tell me, drop it in the comment section. I don't know. I just learned about this again. I don't even know this group of people existed. I thought it was folks from I know there's South Africans of Europe descent. I didn't know that they were in South Africa since the 1600s. That was news to me. I thought it was later, in time, but again, they've been there for a while and they've established their ways. And now that, that Africans in their native country have taken power, they push back. Yes, again, they are committing crimes, they're committing violence. I get it, it's not safe, but why is it up to us to save them? Why do we have to go in there and save them? This is not our issue, right? It's not our problem. If you're going to use the same rhetoric with Mexico and Central America, why are we not applying that rhetoric with South Africa? Personally, look, this is not our issue. So this is what I'm going to say. I don't agree with this. Unless you can give me a logical explanation as to why this group can and this group cannot, then I'll say, okay, I'll say I stand corrected. But if not, then I'll stand by what I said. I don't think we should take them in. It's not our issue. Let them deal with it. It is what it is. Maybe it sounds cruel. Maybe it sounds really messed up. But if you're going to preach America first, you got to keep that same rhetoric, same energy. And, not a lot of foreigners who have nothing to do with whatever we're talking about here. Why are they coming in? Give me a reason. Right? Again, I want to be proven wrong. Let me know why you believe that they should be coming in. If not, then let me know why they shouldn't either, in the comments. All right, that's all I wanted to say. Until the next one, peace out, people.